In this episode, we talk about the Bengaluru water crisis and the measures being taken to control it. We also talk about the acquittal of Delhi University professor G N Saibaba. But first, we talk about the Election Commissioner Arun Goel. Hi, I am Niharika Nanda, and you are listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. Over the weekend, in a surprise move, the Election Commissioner Arun Goel resigned from his post. This development now leaves the three-member poll body, which already had one vacancy, with only a single member, the Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar. This is significant because Goel's resignation comes just days before the crucial Lok Sabha election dates are set to be announced. Since his appointment, Goel had been involved in at least 8 assembly elections, and his tenure at the Election Commission was supposed to last until December 2027. His resignation has prompted the opposition to question whether his unexpected departure was due to differences with the government or with Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar. In this segment, my colleague Shashank Bhargava speaks to Indian Express's Chief of National Bureau, Ritika Chopra, about this development.
Ritika, tell us what a vacancy like this before these crucial Lok Sabha elections do to the entire electoral process.
So I want to make one thing clear. It's not as if a single member commission cannot function. There's nothing legally wrong with the Chief Election Commissioner discharging the duties of the Election Commission with 2 vacancies on the panel. So legally, there's nothing incorrect with that.
Has this ever happened before?
So yes, at least in the recent past, there has been an instance when Naseem Zaidi in 2015 had taken over as the Chief Election Commissioner. At that point, he'd taken over from H.S. Brahma, right after his retirement. So after he took over, he was the only CEC and there were 2 vacancies. And there was almost a month when the commission functioned as a single member body. So it's not as if that's unprecedented. But I would like to point out that for this to happen just before the Lok Sabha election, so even if, say, the government, the buzz is, and we're told that a meeting has been scheduled, it'll happen either on the 14th or the 15th, where the PM-led panel will elect election commissioners. But even if 2 election commissioners are announced and appointed, let's not forget that these guys are absolute novices when it comes to the conduct of elections. While they may have been on election duty, there is a lot that you need to know. By the time an election commissioner becomes a chief election commissioner, they would have spent about a year in the commission, which, for instance, Arun Goel had that experience. He joined in November 2022 and, by the time it was time for the Lok Sabha elections, he had spent almost a year and a half in the commission. So that time is very crucial to help you prep for, big days like this.
Right, Goel, for example, has been part of 8 assembly elections.
Yes. So that helps you understand the election process inside out. And he wasn't just part of the conduct of elections, he was part of resolving many disputes. For instance, the Shiv Sena symbol dispute or the NCP. So, all of that, he was part of the commission trying to discharge his duties as a quasi-judicial body. So all of those experiences are crucial. They all add up and help you when you actually take charge as the chief election commissioner. The CEC is just the first among equals. They're all equal. So the 2 people now who would come in would be quite inexperienced. So it would, in effect, kind of be still a one-man show, because right now the only person on the 3-member panel who has a sense of how elections are conducted, what is a model code violation, should notices be issued, all of that. The final call will be Rajiv Kumar's. My feelings of this is just a hunch, and I could be wrong, but then they may just end up deferring to his experience more than anything else.
And what does that do to the entire checks and balances process of the electoral system?
So a lot of it may just depend on what the current incumbent chief election commissioner wants. But this is obviously, again, based on my experience covering the commission. This is why I'm sort of underlining the fact that the experience matters a lot. But this is not as if, when we say it's a one-member body, doesn't mean that that's it. He does everything. Of course, there is a whole system, it's a well-oiled machinery, and they have legal advisors and all of that. But of course, those 3 members do play a pretty big role in making the final calls, final decisions that a commission makes.
And did Goel's exit come as a surprise to people within the Election Commission as well?
Yes, for sure, because it seemed like we were breaking the news to a lot of people within the Nirvachan Sadan building. It came as a surprise to a lot of people. I mean, of course, no one kind of saw the resignation coming. And we understand that he resigned on the 8th and it was accepted within 24 hours. So it's not as if there was any time for that news of resignation to also travel. It all happened really quickly and suddenly. And yes, people were taken by surprise.
And how common would you say is it for an election commissioner to resign from his post like this?
Resignations are not uncommon. Of course, it's not very common, but it's not uncommon in the sense there are two precedents. So in 1973, Nagendra Singh had resigned to join the International Court of Justice. And very recently, in August 2020, when Ashok Lavasa joined the Asian Development Bank, and now, of course, Goel, he would have retired actually in 27, so he had a lot of time left in his term.
Also, this is not the first time that Goel has surprised people with his decision, right? Because even his appointment to the EC had created controversy. Could you tell us why that happened?
So his appointment came up at the time when there was a petition in the Supreme Court on the appointment process. The criticism has always been that it's been a pretty opaque process. It's completely guided and done by the executive, and that there should be maybe some form of a collegium system. I mean, those were the arguments. And around that time, that's when his appointment sort of came up in court, where in fact the government even presented the file that they had moved around the time of Goel's appointment, that his name was put up on file and his name was cleared for the position within 24 hours. And at that point, the Supreme Court bench had also asked that what was the hurry to do all of this in 24 hours. That, in a way, I think also demonstrated how to the court that there is no clarity on what really goes into, or rather why one gets appointed. While the government had said that they maintain a database of retired officers and, based on that, they prepare a shortlist and finally one name's chosen, all of that. But it seemed like there wasn't much, at least Goel's appointment file, to show that he took BRS and within 24 hours he was appointed. So the court was also a little surprised by how everything moved so fast as far as Goel's appointment is concerned.
Right, back then the political watchdog, the Association for Democratic Reforms, had moved the court saying it was arbitrary and that he seemed to have remarkable foresight to seek voluntary retirement ahead of his appointment as EC. But Ritika, at this time, what is the opposition saying about Goel resigning?
At this point, the opposition's reaction is along the lines that we need to know why this happened so suddenly. Was he under pressure? Was he asked to toe the government's line? And of course, the opposition's also expressed worry of the fact that now the commission's been reduced to a single member body and that somebody should be appointed soon. And there are, of course, people also saying that the two who would be appointed right before elections may just end up being yes men. But yeah, that's the criticism coming along those lines.
And next we talk about Bengaluru. With depleting groundwater levels and drought in the Kaveri Basin, the city is bracing itself for a severe water crisis. At the moment, the water tanker prices have been increasing and the government has been forced to regulate supply.
Bengaluru usually anticipate this in the third week of April or post-April.
That's Indian Express's Kiran Parashar, who reports on the city for the paper.
So the time for Bengaluru to receive the rainfall would be about 1.5 months, 45 days. You will have to deal this water scarcity for 40-45 days. But this time, this is likely to go beyond 60 days, which is making it more worse. At the same time, the water sources have gone dry. That is also another serious concern, which is leading to this kind of situation.
In this segment, we speak to him about how this crisis is unfolding on the ground and the measures being taken to control it. So, Kiran, can you begin by sharing with us what is the situation in Bengaluru right now?
So, Niharika, first of all, Karnataka has been facing a severe drought this year where more than 200 taluks, including Bengaluru, has been declared as a drought hit area in Karnataka. Bengaluru requires about 1,450 million litre per day And besides that, it also gets somewhere around 700 million liter per day through groundwater resources. However, with the present situation of drought, Bangalore is unable to get that 1,450 million liter per day, where the primary source is from River Kaveri. In addition to that, what has happened is many of the groundwater resources like bore wells and other things have gone dry. This is because of either overuse of groundwater. So this has put Bangalore under stress. From residents to institutions to industries, everybody is facing some or the other kind of problems. Some of the borewells in Bangalore have gone dry. Last week, Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar, citing that his own house borewell has gone dry, he said that more than 3,000 borewells across the city has gone dry.
And Kiran, typically under relatively normal circumstances, what have been the primary sources of water for Bengaluru? And why is Bengaluru now on the verge of a drought?
So the primary source of water for Bangalore is from River Kaveri, as well as there are lakes in Bangalore which are interconnected. So you will see a lot of water from these places. So these water are being treated and are used for industrial purpose and other purpose. So likewise, there are some lakes outside the city from where Bangalore also draws water. This time what has happened is because of the drought, the sources where the water we used to get has reduced. For example, this is not the first time that Bangalore is facing the water issue. Every year during the summer, we face this issue. But what happens is every year this problem starts from second or third week of April and it would end by May or in the first 2 weeks of June, because post June, Bangalore receives rainfall. But this year what has happened is this has started much earlier. That is, like we are speaking in the last week of February or in the first week of March, the water problems in Bangalore has started. So this has been a major concern.
So at the moment, what measures are being taken by the government to control the situation?
So it is not just the government, even the people, public here living in residential areas have also taken a lot of measures. For example, in apartment and gated communities who are facing dire situation, especially in East Bangalore, which are Whitefield, KR Puram and all these areas where it houses a lot of IT companies. There, the apartments and the gated communities have shut down swimming pools and some of the clubhouses where waters are used. And also they have restricted the supply of water in many of the apartments. And also these communities have also asked the residents to use water in a very judicious manner. At the same time, the number of water tankers to these apartments have increased, and many of the apartments which have STPs are also treating those water. And the government has also said that it has banned some of the usage of water for non-domestic purpose. For example, you might be using water for gardening or other things. So government also has banned usage of potable water to all these places.
And Kiran, within Bengaluru and the taluks that you mentioned, who are the people most affected by this situation and which part of the city are they from?
So in a way, everybody is hit, but majorly the people who are living in high-rise apartment in Bangalore have been hit massively. For example, there are apartments which have more than 2,500 flats which require 10 lakh liters of water every day. So these people were receiving waters from water tankers and other things. But now with groundwater depletion and unavailability of water has forced them to impose a lot of restrictions. And also some of the apartments have increased their maintenance fee because they will have to shell out more money for these water tankers. Just to give you a perspective, a water tanker with 12,000 liter of water, what used to be somewhere around 800 rupees to 1,200 rupees, today is being charged about 2,500 to 3,000 rupees, which is more than 100% of increase. So I spoke to a lot of water tankers associations and water tanker owners. So basically what they say is they are also not getting the groundwater from the borewells from where they used to collect water previously. So they will also have to travel a few distance away to get this water. So the situation is very sensitive when it comes to water.
Right. So what kind of solutions are being considered to solve this crisis?
So in the current situation, the BWSSP, that is Bangalore Water Supply and Sewerage Board, so this is the agency which is responsible for water supply in Bangalore. So last week when we spoke to the chairperson, Ram Prasad Manohar, so he told Indian Express that they were anticipating such a water crisis in Bangalore, but they cannot increase the water supply, or they can't bring the alternate water sources overnight. So it was very challenging. The primary thing that they are recommending is urging people to use water judiciously. And also the government is now taking over all the water tankers in Bangalore. So the primary objective of the government to take over all these water tanker is to ensure that this water tanker people do not charge exorbitantly to the citizens. So basically till date there was no checks and balances of these water tankers. Now they have asked them to register with the government. So that is one of the move. So once you are registered with the government, this will allow government to have control over these water tankers, which will allow them to operate and supply water to places wherever it is very much necessary. So this is one of the things. And Niharika, you also have to see that the Bangalore city has more than 1.4 crore population, which includes permanent residents and who are on transit. So Bangalore needs a huge amount of water. So if not this year, this may also happen in the years to come if we don't find permanent solution.
And Kiran, you had the opportunity to talk to people from Bengaluru. So what did they have to say about this?
So basically in Bangalore, the most hit part is, as I earlier told you, that is East Bangalore. The reason is because in many of the areas which are in the outskirts, they don't have Kaveri water connection. So they were highly dependent on either groundwater or water tankers. Now with groundwater depletion and also with exorbitant charges of these water tankers and also unavailability of these water tankers, they are facing a very hard time. So this is one part of Bangalore which is facing a lot of problem. Besides that, in any household, for example, you come to any part of Bangalore, earlier, let's say, if they were getting water supply twice or thrice or four times a week, now they are getting water supply just once in a week. So there has been reduction of water supply to residential areas and to other industries as well. So they are highly dependent on the water tankers, which again, they're also finding it very hard to get the water.
Right. Now we've talked about the impact on the general public. But let's talk about the hospitality industry and the emergency services such as fire stations. Basically services that rely heavily on water. How are they dealing with this situation?
Interestingly, I was speaking to fire department. So even the fire department is hit by the water scarcity because Bangalore city during summer at least reports 50 fire incidents on an average. This is because of the ground fire, and this is also because of people put fire in these dump yards or garbage yards. So now they are facing a shortage even in fire department. So one of the officers to whom I spoke to, he's from Electronic City Fire Station, where he said that they get about 5 to 6 fire calls every day. So they are just getting 1 inch of water from their borewell, so which is not sufficient. So what they generally do is when they go attending a call of a fire incident, while returning back, they'll search for the nearest water source. It might be either a lake or it might be some BWSSB borewell or other places. So they'll fill up these fire tenders and return back to the station. In places like HSR layout, some of the apartments have been helping the fire department to fill their water. At the same time, some of the schools and education institutions have also shut, or some of them have suggested for have gone online mode to hold classes because of lack of water supply, and there is also uncertainty of water tankers. Hotels and restaurants have been hit badly, especially in East Bangalore. So we were speaking to Ajay Gowda, managing partner of BYG Ventures, and he was saying that they are also installing adequate water management systems, anticipating such a water crisis earlier. So most of the industries have been hit because of the drought in Karnataka, or in Bangalore especially.
And in the end, we talk about the GN Saibaba case. Yesterday, the Supreme Court declined to stay the Bombay High Court judgment acquitting former Delhi University professor G N Saibaba, who was convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment in an Unlawful Activities Prevention Act case over alleged Maoist links. Observing prima facie that the High Court's March 5 judgment is very well reasoned, a bench of Justices B.R. Gavai and Sandeep Mehta said, "The law is that there is a presumption of innocence. Once there is an order of acquittal, the presumption gets fortified." The Nagpur bench of the High Court had acquitted Saibaba and 5 other co-accused who were convicted by the trial court in 2017, noting that the prosecution failed to prove its case. It also ruled that the sanction under UAPA was null and void and that the entire prosecution case had been vitiated on account of invalid sanction to prosecute the accused. Last year, when we had spoken to Indian Express's Sadaf Modak, she had told us what the case was about.
So Professor Saibaba was arrested on May 9th, 2014 by the Gadchiroli police. This was in connection with a case where 5 others were arrested in 2013 on allegations that they were all active members of the banned organization CPI Maoist and its frontal group, Revolutionary Democratic Front. So the Gadchiroli police had in 2013 claimed that they had received secret information that Saibaba's co-accused were abetting and assisting the banned group, and there were information that was being passed on to top operatives of the group through memory cards that were sent by Saibaba. So this was the case in a nutshell that the Gadchiroli police had filed in 2013. And the allegations against all 6 accused were that they had hatched a criminal conspiracy to wage a war against the government of India through unlawful activities. And the police had claimed that they had found in possession of the accused documents and electronic gadgets which contained Maoist literature. There were letters and there was correspondence between members, pamphlets, and audio-video clips of the meetings of the organization. In a nutshell, these were the allegations that the 6 of them faced when the Gadchiroli police filed a case.
Now, while delivering its judgment yesterday, the High Court said that the trial was held despite the violation of mandatory provisions of law amounted to a failure of justice. It pointed out that the prosecution failed to establish legal seizure of materials and could not prove any incriminating material against the accused. The High Court added that the mere possession of literature sympathetic to Maoist philosophy could not be an offence under UAPA, and merely downloading Naxal material would not constitute an offence unless specific evidence was provided. You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by Shashank, Bhargava and me, Niharika, Nanda. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Audio and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.